News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Welcome to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning.
I'm Allan Gilbreth with darkoakmedia.com.
And I'm Maximilian, and it's the big one, folks. Happy Mango Day.
Mango Day. Okay,
You
that's
have
the
no
biggie.
idea how happy that makes me.
Allan, what did you do to mark the occasion?
There will be many mango products produced this afternoon
Okay.
when I get home.
Yeah, that's the biggie. Yeah, right, Max?
Man,
Okay.
love it.
International or national? I always lose track of these.
Just Mango Day.
Okay, Max, I gotta ask, who's in charge of setting an international day of anything? I mean, what's the approval process? That's the research you need to do, because I submit we could just come up with whatever days we want, Allan, and
I
who's
usually
to say
do.
we can't? Okay.
Yep.
All right, we're going to look into that. If anybody out there's got answers, I mean, hey, I'm all for celebrating the noble mango, but I mean, it's getting a little out of hand now. So
No, it's getting to be a smoothie now.
okay, hey, if you have any thoughts about this controversial topic, you can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. We also, if you want the full Tool Talk Radio experience, or at least a experience, you can run over to the News Talk 98.9 The Roar Facebook page and watch the show unfold. The cameras are on.
I'm not sure that's an experience that I want.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And thanks, Max. So do that. And then after you do that, go over to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page where we've got 3 posts up there. Allan, we have our must-have item of the week. We have, for our great moments in building history, we're gonna throw the French a little love. They've had a pretty tough month. And so we're going to talk about, what else are we going to talk about? The Eiffel Tower. We've skirted around the issue in the past. I mean, we've discussed it, what is the word, tangentially in the past.
Well, Monsieur Eiffel was involved in a lot of projects.
Oh yeah, he's definitely a noteworthy person in history. But we're gonna focus our attention on the Eiffel Tower today. Also, if you scroll down just a little bit, you will see another post. Allan, we have a follow-up report coming about those 2 Transformer statues in Georgetown.
Yes.
There's been a development, and we are going to be joined by guest geek authority and correspondent Jay Hill with a bit.
I like how you got geek authority out with a straight face.
I almost said that with a straight face. Well, we've been trying for a while. Okay, for one thing, it's tough getting Jay Hill on the air. But we've been wanting to get him involved in a geek discussion because, as listeners know, the he's a great guy, but he has no geek blood within him.
I want to see him really commit to the bit today.
I hope he does. But this one, I think you don't have to know a lot about the Transformers to have an opinion about this story. So
this is more about urban planning in historic districts.
Yeah, he can get involved in this, and it's just going to be fun. So, but Jay Hill's coming in shortly, Allan, and then of course, obviously, he's been a busy man with all of these storms.
Yes,
which, Allan, according to Allan's Week in Review, it looks like you've been doing a lot of chainsaw gardening.
Absolutely.
Like the rest of Memphis. I mean, what is going on with this weather? They said this week was almost down to the day we had another almost Hurricane Elvis. It was it was the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Elvis.
Yes.
What is it, July 22nd? And boom, July 19th, we got hit with another. And it lasted about 15 minutes, but it just left a path of destruction.
Yeah, if you were throwing darts, it was close enough to the bullseye.
Yeah, so we're going to obviously be discussing that. It's kept all of us busy, including you and Jay in particular. So we've got a lot of stuff. Of course, we have our must-have item of the week. We've got quite a bit to get to. But, Allan, before we get to any of that, we're all about solutions here, right? I mean, don't roll your eyes at me. Aside from Max's contributions, which are just, fluff. But, hey, I was thinking about this. Okay, we're driving all over town. And, folks, I don't know, because I know we have listeners outside of Memphis, but there is sort of an issue when you live in a zone where there are a lot of trees close to power lines. I mean, let's just face it, that's a recipe for power outages. They're going to fall. Memphis is one of the most fertile places I've ever lived, Allan. I mean, it's a losing battle trying to keep the tree limbs away from the wires. So I know on newer constructions and I know in newer neighborhoods, they basically bury the power lines, right? And I know there's been talk in the past that you can't just retroactively go and bury power lines in older parts of town because then it creates its own issues. But maybe there's a hybrid solution. I wanted to throw one at you and pick your brain on this. So let me see what you think of this. So,
Okay.
what if we imagine this, folks? Okay, let's maybe we start with the worst hit neighborhood. Pick those neighborhoods that are always losing power. What if instead of having the power lines up on poles, they were buried with it? Maybe you expand the size of the curbs. Maybe the curbs become a little taller and a little wider, and you have them basically hollowed out, and you have they'd be reinforced, of course, and you run the wires through there. Maybe, and then, of course, they'd have to be buried under driveways and stuff, but it would be accessible if you had to work on it, and yet it would be, you'd avoid tree limbs knocking them down, Alan. So that's my pitch. What do you think of that, man?
Well, this is one of those issues where if you've been any place that has underground wiring,
Right.
it looks a little weird because we're used to seeing towers and poles.
Yeah, I don't miss it, though.
Of different parts of the country for different reasons, either went above or below ground.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're in an area, and I'll pick on like outside in West Texas,
Yeah.
there are a few municipalities out there that from the very beginning opted for below ground power.
Right.
So that was just how we did it.
A question, though. When you say below ground, how far below, and how do you access it if you have to work on it? Like, because I've seen them tearing up streets and things like that when they have to get to, and of course they can flood. They create their own issues.
Nothing is without an issue.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just say that. There is no silver bullet answer. So you have to design based on where you are.
Right.
So if you are in a semi-desert condition, you need to be 18, 24, maybe even 36 inches underground, not because of a freeze line, but because of a dry line.
Oh, it'll bake those wires and stuff.
Well, not necessarily bake them, but the dirt itself will move away from the pipes. And I'll explain a little more of that when we come back.
Okay. Well, but my system that I envision is more or less you would have access panels. Of course, they'd be well secured, so no kids are opening them up or something. But to me, it solves an issue because it's technically above ground, but it's not so above ground that trees are hitting it and everything. And I don't know. I like my idea, and plus, we can.
You don't have a bad idea. It's just got a few tweaks.
We're gonna flesh it out, and of course, we'd love our listeners to weigh in on this hot topic. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Good news, everyone! I'm in terrible pain.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
The radio off. I mean, don't blame us. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And it was inevitable, Allan. We're going to be hearing Professor Farnsworth rejoiners now. I mean, once Max gets a hold of things, so.
Well, I thought
Gets a hold of things. I've had a hold of things from the get-go.
Well, I know. I'm surprised you've waited this long. I mean, Max is a Matt Groening, aficionado, and so
I'm down there with him. It's all right.
Okay.
Farnsworth and I went to high school together.
Oh,
what
yeah.
do you want?
Well, if you want to weigh in, you can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. We also invite you to watch the show on the Royal Retreat studio cams at the News Talk 98.9 The Roar Facebook page. And if you do, you will notice that another individual got here. He's early. I had to run to the door during the break, Allan. I'm out of wind, but you will notice our good buddy Jay Hill with Big M Roofing. Oh, there we go, with his own walk-up music.
Thanks to Max.
Yeah,
Man.
Jay, we're glad you're here today. We figured you're probably really busy.
I am.
With all of the needs of with all the storms, everything that's rolled through. But we're in the middle of a discussion. Were you listening?
I was.
Okay.
I was, yes.
Because before we talk, because we're obviously going to talk to Jay about his work this week. But Jay, before we get to that, did you hear my idea for basically, if you're just tuning in, folks, we're all about solutions here on Tool Talk Radio. And I don't know that I'm the first one to think of it. I'm sure many people have. Allan, you said they do a variation of this in Texas, but for years, how long have we been watching, power lines, the trees get close to them, they fall down. It's it's just a big ongoing problem. So a lot of places bury their power lines, and we know that you can't just go retroactively and just bury all the power lines in the older parts of town because that creates its own problems. So my idea was, what if we revamp the way we do our curbs and run power lines, like we hollow out the curbs, make them slightly taller, slightly wider, and run the wires through there. And then when you get to a driveway, you basically go underground. So I don't know if that idea is as wacky as it sounds, but I thought, you could still access the wires if you have to work on them.
It's literal curb appeal.
Curb appeal. There you go. And we would know where they're at.
No, that's the name of the operation for executing this plan. It's Operation Curb Appeal.
There you go. Okay, Max, I'll give you that one. That's a good one. I like that. So we're roundtabling it. We just want, and we would love our listeners' thoughts too. But Jay, what's your hot take on something like that, or an approach? It's like a hybrid approach, you could say.
Yeah, I'm still not really fully getting what you're saying. Like having a hollow curb is what it sounds like, and having the wiring through there, that sounds like it's a problem just right off of Jump Street, just saying.
Talk to me.
Well, it just sounds like it is. I mean, it's right there. I think about when it rains and the water and all of that.
Well, I'm talking about sealed. It would still be sealed, but...
I get it.
Until it breaks, until somebody drives over the curb.
Well, I was listening to the MLG W director the other day talk about, because so many people were so irate. And said, hey, why don't we just bury all this, moving forward? And he said, yeah, we can do that. It's $80 billion.
Right.
We can do that. So I don't know how much cheaper it is to do what you're talking about, but if I was going to move it from where it was, I'd get it on down a little further than the curb, but that's just on the surface. I don't know anything about that. I'm not an electricity aficionado, but if I was going to spend that type of money, now you could say moving forward, new code would be, and then eventually at some point in time, you could work on some of the older infrastructure while you're building the new one. That might make some sense, but that's just, again, my opinion.
I don't think, I was just in Harbortown. I was just working there this weekend. In Harbortown, what is that, 25 to 30 years old?
Right at 25-ish.
Okay, and all their stuff's underground, although occasionally they still lose power. But, so that's not even that new of a neighborhood. But it seems like these days they bury them all.
Well, if we're going to reach for the stars, why don't we just Bluetooth power moving forward?
Well, that's what Tesla wanted to do.
Do that, but some of the smaller cities in Florida, especially in the Keys, you get around Palm Beach and Coral Gables and that kind of stuff. They actually go 36 to 48 inches down.
Yeah,
because they don't want flooding and stuff like that to wash it out during a big storm. But they also know that the poles and the towers are very much at risk during the high winds. Now, some of our problem in a lot of cities, Memphis and others like it, I'm not just going to pick on Memphis,
right,
is the fault of the landscapers 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Oh, I think I know where you're going.
It looked beautiful to put that little row of pine trees over there so it would hide those ugly power lines. Well, 40 years later, you got 40-foot yellow pines that bend, snap, twist, and take out power lines.
Yeah.
Would this qualify as a 30 years of stupid?
What's that?
Yes, it does.
Looks like a loose nail.
Yeah, 1 out of 25
Why do you
ain't
do that,
bad.
Allan?
You don't have any code
Haven't used it in a
violations, do
while.
you?
Okay, thanks.
Nope.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
What do you think of the house that Love built? Oh, shit.
Max never misses an opportunity to
He loves
derail
those
a
buttons.
meaningful conversation. Okay, good for you, Max. You got to push the button.
You're welcome.
All right. But, Allan, I already lost track of what you were saying.
We've talked about urban planning in the past, especially when purchasing a new home or looking at a new neighborhood or you're moving to a new city. These are things that you do sort of need to take into consideration. One lesson I learned from my father a billion years ago was he said, always, when you're moving to a new city, drive to work and drive home before you move there.
Oh,
and I
get
was
a
kinda
sense
like,
of, yeah,
I
that's
didn't
a good point.
I didn't really get it. And he goes, where's the sun?
Yeah.
Because if you move, where your job is, 'cause when you're moving to that city because of a new job, where you got to drive to every day makes a big difference. Are you driving with the sun in your eyes?
That's a good point.
Every morning and every evening coming and going to and from work. So one of his big criteria was, what am I going to be driving through to get to my job?
Okay.
And that has a lot to do with water, creeks, bridges. Are you in one of those beautiful, I actually almost moved into one of these beautiful pastoral subdivisions that, honest to goodness, had one 2-lane bridge in and out of it.
Okay. Wait, what does this have to do with wires?
Because the wires came by that bridge too. So you had one point of failure.
Okay.
And if the creek rose, and it did, there went your power and there went your bridge. So you were trapped in the subdivision with no power and no way in or out if you didn't have a boat.
Maybe
so
that's
these things all kick in to that urban planning and how you're getting your power in and out, because technology is changing. We can now start looking forward to a smart grid.
That's
or
what I
maybe
feel
even
like,
a modular grid. And I also want to throw in, don't forget one of our other favorite topics. How would a house battery totally change the electrical landscape? Because we all know those are coming too. We have them now.
I think we still need to address, though, wire. I mean, like, perfect example. My next door neighbor had about 4 or 5 years ago, had a tree limb that fell and knocked the wire over, and it knocked out, I want to say, about 500 homes. One fall.
Yes.
Well, that seems like a real design flaw, Jay. I don't know. I mean, I guess the grid, you talked about a smart, I don't know. It's easy for us to, I know all of this costs money, but I feel like it's going to, we live in the South. This is going to be a problem until it's addressed. So maybe it has to just be piecemeal. Some of these problems, they could take 20 years to resolve, but wouldn't it still be better to resolve them in 20 years than to just, Well, in 2017, the estimate to really get going on underground wiring in Memphis was around $3 billion. But do we have
I can't even imagine what it would be like
the
today.
The figure I gave you was from directors at Gowan.
Yeah.
Was $60 billion.
Yeah, well, they said just to start in 2017 was $3 billion.
Unbelievable amount of money.
I still think there's other options, but there isn't just the A and B option. I think there's
I think it's
several
moving
options.
forward
right.
with new projects and new code. That's the way to start. I don't think we're ever going to be in a position as a county, as a city, or municipality, however you want to look at it, to invest that type of money. He went on to say that would affect everybody's light bill right now, 2.5 times of what it is right now. In their survey, he said that everybody said, hey, I'd pay another $50, $60 a month, no problem, in a real survey. But nobody said, hey, I'll give, instead of $250 a month, I'll give $750 a month.
Yeah.
And that's the real cost it would take to do that.
Well, and the other thing people are you're feeling the inconvenience of a storm, and the trees are down, and you got to get out the chainsaws and clean all this stuff up, and then the municipality's got to fix the wires or whatever. Burying a retrofitting is massively invasive.
Yeah, well, that's true, too.
They're going to be digging up your yard. They're going to be digging up your driveway. They're going to be rerouting things. A lot of times places you don't want them routed.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I still think there's a solution.
Oh, there is going forward, but
they're also talking about the trees just being, obviously just a part of that problem. That's a big part of the problem. But the old, really everything from the poles to the grids to the transformers to all those things, we've kind of let them go, is what I'm hearing.
Okay.
So we got to work on getting some of that stuff kind of state of the art.
Okay. Well, we'll change gears, and we're going to find out how this, how all of these storms affected Jay Hill when we come back here on Tool Talk Radio.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Good news, everyone! Someone's home is on fire!
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
And I don't even know. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning. Here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling hotline at 901-683-0989. And we also invite you to watch the show on the Royal Retreat studio cams. You can watch those if you go over to the News Talk 98.9 The Roar Facebook page and see what the show looks like. I mean, you know, knock yourself out. If you want to see what we look like on the while we're doing this show, you know, it's interesting enough. But if you're
Show.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
If you're driving, though, by all means, don't do that. And then afterwards, scoot on over to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and check out the all the action over there. We've made several posts. So, and as you can hear, we're joined by our good buddy Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling here in the house. And Jay, well, apparently it looks like you're. I was hoping you'd stick around, but you got here early, and that's because you got to scoot out of here at 9, right? So
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Okay, so hey, Max, I know we have a caller on the line, but can you ask him to hold on just a minute because we want to get to Jay. We want to talk about kind of what you've been doing this week because what is life like for Jay Hill when we get a storm when we get storms like this? I mean,
well, that depends on whether or not we've got power or not. You know, whether or not our help, our employees, if they have power. I mean, every day has been a challenge. A lot of times it's been hour to hour. You just don't know because just when, as everybody is, you know, well aware of by now, just when you think that you're about to, you know, put the last Band-Aid on what you had going on, here comes a whole new trip and fall.
Yeah.
And, you know, you start all over again, and it's chaotic. I don't know a contractor, especially a roofing or a tree contractor that's just not absolutely slammed. And as much as we pride ourselves on being exterior specialists, you know, we're really in a position right now where we're having to concentrate, you know, just on roofs and roof repair. Everything else is secondary to that as long as water's not intruding the home, which again, 85-90% of that is going to be from either that tree falling, hitting your roof and then it coming in from there. But just absolutely killed. The insurance adjusters are slammed with caseloads. You know that they're next to a really for what they've got staffed in a particular area. It's kind of like one of the major hurricanes down in the Gulf. You know, on our scale.
Right.
In other words, we only have so many people here, and they're not deploying a whole lot of more people here. But now they're having to get some more up here, and it's not uncommon for a homeowner to call an insurance company and they say, "Look, man, could you take the pictures? Could you write us a narrative and all that?" And some people can, and some people can't. But there's just a lot going on right now. It's pretty nuts out there.
Well, Jay, and folks, if you're new to Tool Talk Radio, you should know one of the great things with Jay Hill is he's a former insurance agent. And Jay, I get the sense that situations like this are really right in your wheelhouse. I know you don't sleep much because you're going to be running around and busy during these times, but it really seems like you're one of the most well-equipped contractors I know to deal with this stuff. You really understand the full picture here. So, I mean,
yeah, we think we do. I mean, everything is, it's changing in so many ways. I remember a day and a time, and I'm just going to talk about 10 years ago, where what we do from an insurance perspective was, I mean, it was old hat. I mean, you knew what was going to happen before your adjuster got out there, and you just knew what the outcome was going to be. And as time has evolved, and so many insurance companies have, paid claims for roofs, and because of the magnitude of the weather that we've seemed to have had over the last 10 years, I mean, I don't think anybody can deny that we've got some some different type of weather today. I mean, I don't understand it. I'm not going to take a political stance on it, but I'm going to say it seems a heck of a lot more intense to me. So having said all that, today is not as predictable, and except for the fact that you're going to have to fight for everything that you need or that you think that your policy is going to handle for you when it comes to a claim anymore. They've just gotten, everybody has tightened up, and it doesn't matter what insurance company it is. I mean, there are a few that are pretty much, all right, we get it. But those are the ones that hadn't been slammed as hard because they're, niche companies and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's kind of like when you go to the grocery store. We used to have full-service grocers, and you could talk to people, and they're going to bag your groceries, and they're going to take them to the car, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Now, pretty soon, I think we're going to be growing our vegetables. We're going to package them. We're going to take them to the store. We're going to go in and buy them. So you get what I'm saying.
Well, Jay, let's just so let's suppose we got a listener out there, and they wake up and they're like, "What is that thing on the corner of my roof?" Or what is that? Why I just had a limb land on the top of my house, or I don't know what problem's going to happen next time it rains. What should they do, basically? Because, I mean, if they're going to call you, I always say, err on the side of caution and get in touch with Jay. But
for now, what you're going to do is you're going to just pay attention to what your ceilings look like. And if it's not a finished area and you've got an attic that you can get up to safely and take a look, a lot of times a tree limb will actually gouge that deck and go through the shingles, and it makes sense, and you'll see water coming in. If you don't see it there, and if it's bad enough, it'll show on a ceiling from inside the home. That's where you really need to get something done. Now, when this settles down a little bit, you might want to say, you know what? We've had a lot of storms here in the last, blah, blah, blah time, and I think it's time for me to get a roof inspection. And let's come out and take a look, because you've got up to 2 years with all companies really to make up to a year to make a claim, up to 2 years to actually get the work started and finished, okay? So, at that point in time when things settle down a little bit and everybody's not running around handling emergencies, which is pretty much what we're still doing right now, then that's what I would do. I'd get a roof inspection, and I'd say, what is the state of what I've got going on? Because I can always go back to that storm date that was June 26th, for instance, if that's what I needed to do.
Jay, I seem to remember talking to you about, a situation we had, because, like I said, we had limbs falling on our house at one point, and I thought you told me before you take any of that stuff down, take pictures and video of everything you can, right? I mean, document as much as we can. We all have a camera on our phone. There's no reason not to.
Absolutely. And we don't realize it's like when we buy a home or when we sign any kind of document, taking on insurance policy is a classic example. But within that policy of all that stuff that we didn't read, because if you read it all, you'd never sign it.
Right.
It says in there that you have a duty and responsibility as a policyholder to mitigate any type of damages, any type of thing that comes, or you could be held liable, okay?
Right.
So always cover your hiney, as we say, and make sure that you take photographs, that you don't try to do anything that you're not qualified to do. And again, typically, we're going to be those people that can kind of help guide you through that stuff. Most people, again, generally are never going to have to replace a roof unless you stay in a home for 50 years or so. Most people move quicker than that has to happen for them, for instance, okay? But if you do have to replace a roof or you do have storm damage, it has never been more important, in my opinion, to have somebody that actually has been through this literally thousands of times help you navigate through that, because there is so much to know. Typically, again, an adjuster says to you, Mr. Thorderson, this is what we found, this is what we're going to pay. And if you're not in the trades, if you don't understand any of this stuff, 95% of folks are going to get that hinge going and say, yes, sir, thank you very much. And you're going to take that. But that's not the gospel. Typically, the way I like to get people to think about that is that that's a place to start.
Right.
Because an adjuster can only pay for what he can see. And a lot of times, storm damage, they're moving quick. The adjuster, they've got a big caseload. He's going to pay for what he can see, and he's going to tell your contractor and going to tell you, hey, listen, we find other things as we go along. Just have your contractor file a supplement. And you're going, a what?
No, you need an advocate. That's why, Jay, you're basically like the free. I mean, the consultation's free. It's nuts not to. You got to call. How do they get in touch with you, Jay? By the way, we haven't given out your contact.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's 901-484-5645. That's 901-484-5645. And you can always, of course, go to our website, bigmroofingandremodeling.com, which has got all our credentials, a lot of pictures, a gallery showing some of the work that we've done and the things that we do in terms of trades. And again, we typically concentrate on exterior trades,
right?
Where the homeowner doesn't necessarily have to be there to complete some of this work if they're working outside the home or so on and so forth. But even some of that we've had to put on pause here, at least for the next week or two, just to kind of handle what we've got going on with roofs and the severe damage with roofs.
Jay, listening to you, you remind me. It reminds me of the show MASH. You know how basically their job was to patch up the soldiers as much as they could before they send them off to the hospital, right in Seoul, Allan, and it's like a triage situation.
I was going to say that same thing. Triage.
Yeah, you have to okay, well. Right now, you've got a small hole. We're going to patch it up for now. We'll get back to you. It's basically you're just trying to, until the next storm rolls in, get it patched up, and you have to prioritize everything. So
I think that's the thing that everybody should know. Joe, you're exactly right. If you've got some damage to the roof that you can visibly see, your insurance company is going to pay for those emergency services to stop that water from coming in your house or to prevent anything coming forth. In other words, the mitigation that we were talking about a minute ago. So absolutely, give us a call. We'll help you out there just as quickly as we possibly can, because there is a lot of that going on right now. And, as many roofs as we lay a year, I still can't believe how many old roofs, 3-tab roofs, that are still out there that still need to be replaced.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because roofing technology has changed. These are roofing systems you're putting in, Jay. So,
yeah. They'll last, and there becomes a time where you have to stop throwing good money after bad, I believe.
Right.
And, if you've got a 3-tab roof that's 20, 25 years old, that time is now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Don't spend $500,000 to a repair that might last to the next storm, because that's about all it's going to last.
Oh, yeah.
These days, yeah.
Hey, Jay, one more time. How do people get in touch with Big M Roofing?
901-484-5645. You can get in touch with me at 901-484-5645. Or, again, go to our website, bigmroofingandremodeling.com, if you want to see anything about us.
Okay, so, Jay, what are you doing when you get out of here today?
Well, I got a lot of paperwork, to be honest with you. We've taken on, Memphis is a big rental market, and we took on a contract with the second largest home rental company in the United States, who effectively has 57,000 homes in North America, of which 5,200 of them are in the Mississippi, Arkansas, Tennessee, within 50 miles of here. There are 3,700 homes just right here in Memphis proper.
Wow.
And I've taken on all those repairs and trying to assess and we're slammed. But with all of those, from $500 to $1,500, and a lot of those repairs, there's a lot of paperwork and photos and things you have to substantiate. So that's keeping me hopping. I'm trying to bring some new people on board that can kind of help us process some of that stuff, so I can continue to run my mouth, which is what most people think I do best.
So basically, these days, it's just all about roofing right now. Right, I mean,
right now it is. Yeah, about getting power restored, about getting trees and landscaping, back the way it's supposed to be, and getting your roof stopping the water from coming in and intruding your home. Absolutely.
Okay, all right. Well, Jay, this is awesome, and man, you're not going to sleep much these days, are you?
Actually, when I do sleep, I sleep. I sleep really good. It's, but you're always thinking about what you couldn't get to. This is the first time in the history of my business that I've had to back off of some things. It's not something that I ever saw myself doing. And if you're a business owner, you know what I'm talking about. And then, you just have to, as you said, Joe, kind of triage that call.
Right.
If you called me today and said, hey, Jay, I want to replace a couple of windows, I just have to put you off.
Yeah.
And say, I'm not your guy for right now. I might can help you 90 days from now. but we've got some bigger fish to fry right now that we need to concentrate on. And we started in the roofing business, and I'm not trying to discount the other services that we provide, but if you go into the hospital today and you got, your heart feels a little funny, they're going to move you in front of the guy with a finger that's dislocated.
Yeah,
and that's kind of where we are.
Okay. Hey, Max, do we have time to get a caller, or do we do that after the break? So,
I mean, I don't mind. Maybe we could at least pitch the question and everything first.
Okay. All right. So, who do we got on the line, Max?
We got Tom on the line.
Tom. Okay.
Good morning. How's it going today?
Tom, how's it going, man? Do you have power?
Oh, I do have power. Absolutely. I'm glad for the power.
Oh,
Excellent.
Thank goodness.
Well, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing fine. I have a question. I have a chimney, and it's not a masonry chimney. I live in a zero lot line house, and I guess you'd call it maybe a prefab chimney. It's a metal stainless steel pipe, coming up from the fireplace.
Allan
and
is nodding.
The exterior of it, they put paneling on it.
Right.
And the paneling, I guess it's maybe, I've been trying to think, it's about 10 years old since, the last repair. And, they did a good job when they put the panel replacements on there, but it has not held up like I was, hoping, thinking, expecting. And I've been, trying to do a search of somebody, that could replace that. Maybe that's their specialty or something. And maybe I'm not thinking the right terms, but I'm just looking for some suggestions. Maybe options, ceramics, fiber cement, vinyl, something. But I don't know who might be a contact that I could check with on that.
Well, Allan is not, and I know the type you're talking about there, Tom. Those things, they don't hold up. You're asking a lot of that hardy board, Allan. Up on a hot roof and all that expansion and contraction.
Actually, Joe, hardy board is probably his answer.
It is his answer.
Instead of using the fiber board that they keep putting up there, that masonite. Yeah, Jay and I are both nodding in total agreement here.
Right.
I would go instead of to the siding department with the fiber board. I would go sneak down the wall just a little bit and find the hardy board, which is a concrete product.
Right.
Okay.
And that will hold up for years and years and years. And you can cut it with a jigsaw. You need basically a masonry blade. And you can easily take the old pieces of masonite out, lay them down, use them as a pattern, cut you a new piece of hardy board, and Joe's raising his hair.
I got a counterpoint, but go ahead, Jay.
Tom, are you looking for somebody to do that for you?
Yes, sir. I'm not particularly handy, and I really don't want to get it. It's a rather steep roof, and I'm kind of disinclined to go up there myself.
Let's do this then. And I know we talked last week, and you were most kind to understand kind of where we are.
Yes, sir.
And without getting specific over the air, obviously, at about 9:15, if you will give me a call if you're available, let me get some particulars. I'll get somebody to come out and take a look. But based on what you said, Allan is absolutely dead on. When they made those repairs in the past, they probably replaced it with masonite, and masonite's really just nothing but it's sawdust and glue. It's not as water resilient as the new hardy board or cement board is, and that's what you need to do moving forward to take care of this problem. We need to replace those chimney planks with the hardy plank and paint it, and you won't have any more problems.
And
Gotcha.
My 2 cents, just as the carpenter in this conversation, Tom, I was just going to say, I think what also might be the problem is underneath. It's one thing to put the hardy board on, Allan, but if they don't frame it properly and if there's too much flexibility and caulk is breaking and all that. So I think maybe there was a failure in the way they framed it out as well. So Jay will take care of that. That's, but what do you think, Jay?
Tom, you've got my number, right?
Yeah. So.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
just call me. I'll be bowing out of here just right around 9 o'clock, and just give me a call when I get a chance to get to the truck, and we'll move forward from there.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate
You're
everything.
welcome. Thank you.
I love this show.
Thank you.
Tom, you're the best. Thanks, man.
Okay,
Appreciate you calling in.
Okay.
All right.
Wow.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Right on. Business being done right on the spot here on Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Gonna paint your wagon, gonna paint it fine. Gonna use oil-based paint, cause the wood is pine.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
And once again, Max, I have to object because, if you're painting outside, I am not a fan of oil-based paint.
Nope.
Alan, I am
It
sorry.
grows mold.
I don't care if it's pine or not, Jay, and that's the hill I'll die on. Don't roll your eyes at me. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio. Coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios, I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning. Here with my buddy Allan Gilbert from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And in the house is Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling. As a matter of fact, you can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling hotline, 901-683-0989. And we also invite you to watch the show on the Royal Retreat studio cams at the News Talk 98.9 The Roar Facebook page. And as well, go over to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and check out the action over there. Well, Jay, you're a popular fellow today. I guess we got another call on the line. Are they calling for Jay, Max?
Yes.
Okay, well, we'll just sit back here and let Jay handle it.
It's not a bondsman, is it?
Okay.
I think so.
All right. Who's on the air, Max?
Lori.
Lori, Allan is it? Okay.
Yes, our Lori, yes.
Lori, talk to us. Is this our Lori?
Good morning.
How are you, Lori?
So,
How are you?
I'm good. So a couple years ago, Jay actually redid my roof, full disclosure, and with all the terrible weather we have had, I have had zero problems. I just wanted to get that out.
Ooh, good news.
Nice.
Wanted to get that out, early.
Jay looks very relieved.
But yes. But what I was talking to my mom a couple of days ago, and she was expressing concern because her roof was coming up on 18 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, well, I think I got a 20-year warranty. So I talked to her about GAF and all of the wonderful things. And she took it upon herself to go exploring because it's my mother.
Yes.
And she found a product where they will come, it's a soy-based oil, I think, and they come and they treat the shingles on your roof, and it's supposed to extend the life of the roof with this product. Have
Go
you
ahead, Jay.
heard of that? Is that a thing?
Wow.
We have heard of it. It is not a thing for me, Lori.
Sounds like a 1970s idea.
Well,
but
it's
go
a
ahead.
Band-Aid. Now,
Right.
we'll say this. There are solutions and remedies for staining and algae that we see predominantly on the north side of all of our slopes here in Memphis, which has got a lot to do with where we're situated with the equator. And it'll stain over time. And we have a solution that you can spray on there, wash off, and it looks like you've got a new roof again. That's one thing. Another thing, if you've got an old roof and there's damage and it's just time. So to say that you're going to go out and basically spray some soybean stuff up there and it's going to last, it's not for me, Lori. I wouldn't trust that, but I hear that it is available.
Okay. Well, that's very diplomatic. Hey, Lori, we're coming up on the break. Stay tuned, Lori, because you triggered me, and I want to respond to it when we come back, if you don't mind. So, but we
All right, you guys have a great time. I'm going to keep listening, and take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Lori.
Bye-bye.
You're the best. Okay, she triggered me, like all good callers should, and we'll respond to that when we come back. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
And welcome to Hour 2 of Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning. Here with my buddy Allan Gilbert from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling hotline at 901-683-0989. And we also invite you to watch the show on the Royal Retreat studio cams if you run over to the News Talk 98.9 The Roar Facebook page. After that, Allan, they can run over to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and check out the post that we've made. We made a post about our great moments in building history, which is coming up, which is, it's low-hanging fruit, but hey, it's an important structure. We've talked about it off and on before, which is the Eiffel Tower. It's nice to talk about something that pretty much you can imagine most people at least know something about. They at least know what it looks like.
You've
you don't
seen
have to
it
really
in a movie. You've seen it on a postcard.
Right.
You've seen it.
And before the break, we had our good buddy Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling in the house, but he had to run off. He's got more work to do. Whenever there's a crisis like this with weather and everything, he's pretty busy. So.
And he took the callers with him.
We had caller. But hey, before the break, one of our caller, we had Lori call in about a question for her mother regarding the soybean spray on whatever, and we spent the last 2 minutes during the break Googling this stuff, and so now we are 100% well versed and we're authorities now on this spray. So Alan, so it's basically like some sort of clear coat that you spray on your roof. Is this worth the money? Well, I mean, Jay very politely said this isn't a service they offer.
Well,
and then he stormed out of here. But
according to their information here, it is basically going to help restore the asphalt. However,
what does it do? Like by moisturizing it, or because it's an oil?
It's an oil-based product, and it's going to get in there, and it's going to help extend the life of the roof a little bit. But when the key phrase here is extend the life.
Not fix the roof.
So it's not going to put granules back on your roof. It's not. So if you have reached the point in wear and tear or damage or age,
right,
that the roof, it's time for a new roof, then, well, guess what, guys? It's time for a new roof.
Yeah.
Now, there are a lot of products out there that at least do no harm. You know, whether or not how successful they are at their claims, you know, some people like them, some people don't.
My question, Alan, would be if you have what if somebody has this and they put it on a roof? What if they and they put it on a roof that's only a few years old because they're like, well, I'm going to just do this because it'll add to the even. Well, to me, that would void the warranty, wouldn't it?
That would be between you and your roofing manufacturer as to whether or not they're chemically compatible.
My first gut reaction to this, because I said this triggered me, Alan, in doing woodworking. I mean, we have some little teak pieces of furniture that go outside, and those things, really, you've seen what they look like if they're out in the rain and in the sun. And even if you put like linseed oil, or if you oil them up, that only lasts so long. If you took a little table and put it outside, even after oiling, you might get 3 or 4 months out of that before it dries it out again. So what does it do? How long could this actually preserve?
Exactly.
I just think it might be a waste of money, and I don't know.
Any more about the product. I look at it and go, I think at the best it could do no harm.
Okay, so. But hey, Max, somebody texted in earlier.
This isn't a waste of money. Someone talked about. Their name is Joe. Let's see if we can get more Joes on the line.
Oh, is this going to be
another Joe day?
Okay.
All right. There's an emergency house battery now called EcoFlow, and there's some great videos on YouTube about it, and you use that instead of a generator.
Okay. Hey, Alan, I think you sort of touched on this earlier. So, because we always talk about the house batteries. The way I visualize a house battery in the future is more or less the way I've always said it's kind of like, the laptop computer, you charge up the battery, you may unplug your laptop and just run off the battery for a while, and maybe we'll do the same thing with our homes where it lessens the your utility bill. Is this along those lines, you think? Or
well, there's a growing number of products coming out, and EcoFlow is one of the brands.
Okay,
and they offer everything from a portable, like you're going to go camping, it's $800 to $1,000. And then the batteries get bigger and more expensive from there. So, yeah, you could buy a $20,000 battery for your home.
Okay.
Type thing. And the whole idea behind this is it's the exact same idea as an uninterruptible power supply that we have had for 40 years for your computer or other devices.
Okay. And then not only that, but the way that it can be recharged, it includes either like solar panels or wall outlets and car adapters, which is interesting.
So you could just charge it up by running your power. Because to me, I mean, for the time being, that makes a lot of sense. It's like, okay, well, just make sure it's always fully charged. I don't know if you had a fully charged battery. I'm just picturing this, Alan, in the closet of your house.
Right.
and it's fully charged. You charged it up using just your regular, power. Well, I wonder how long it just stays fully charged, or maybe you top it off every once a week.
Well, you just leave it as a part of the system, and it always completely 100% charged.
Right, because I like that because you don't have to buy solar panels if you don't want. And then to me it seems like, okay, if we get a power outage, well, some power outages are more extreme than others. At least it would give you flexibility. You might say, you know what, it looks like we're in for the long haul. We're going to pare down. We're going to only plug in the refrigerator. We're going to only prioritize, and then you can get more life out of that battery. I like that system. That sounds good.
Well, and they're not the only ones that make them, but I'll throw in there's another company out there with Delta Pro that actually makes a patio fold-out solar charger.
Okay.
It's literally designed to just take it out of the closet, walk out on the patio, unfold this baby, and if we're having a big power outage and you don't have any power today, per se, your power went out yesterday. Well, today is a gorgeous, warm, sunny day.
Keep it charging.
You could be trickle charging. So, like I said, there's never going to be a silver bullet answer, but there are a lot of great ways of mitigating the inconvenience.
Well, Joe, that was a good text. I like that. So thanks for weighing in on that. So I think you said Agent 732 weighed in on something. We'll get to them when they come back. We still don't know whether Agent 732 is a he or a she, but
or alien.
Lizard
I would
person.
vote for alien. I would vote for alien.
It could be who knows. So, but you said they had something, and there's a lot to get to, Alan. We got we love getting our callers and texters, and they always go to the top of the list. I do notice though that Jay Hill conveniently scooted out of here before he had to weigh in on the Transformers Georgetown statue update. Well, I think we ought to get to that when we come back.
Absolutely.
That's a quick recap. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio here at News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. What a dynamic and weird day we have going, and it's not over. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
This is what the holidays are all about. Three buddies sitting around chewing gum, huh?
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
In honor of World Mango Day.
Yeah.
Chew some mango-flavored gum.
That's absolutely. I mean, that's the holiday I live for, Alan.
I am right now.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline, like many people have been doing today.
And what's your favorite flavored gum? Is it mango or not?
Okay, and Max just can never move along. He gets a gag and he just can't let it go, Alan. So okay, but you can get in touch with us if and if you want to reprimand Max at 901-683-0989. We also invite you to watch the show at the Royal Retreat Studio Cams on the News Talk 98.9 The Roar Facebook page. We also invite you to go over to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. Give us a like, share the page, and check out the posts we've made there, which I'm not going to recap. I've already recapped it. Just go over there and check them out. It's items that we've discussed. So,
and even better, they can tote us around with them. They can pop over to tooltalkradio.com. They can visit us on Spotify and YouTube, and feel free to binge, tote, listen, and like, subscribe, and all those good things.
Yeah, you can binge listen. I've heard people say it's good for putting on, and it gets them in the mood to work on their house.
Yeah, it's good. We're good background chatter.
Exactly. So, and we don't really bother too many people. I mean,
we try not to.
I try not to. I can't, Max, he pushes everybody's buttons. So,
that's his job.
We have a follow-up report coming in just a minute, but before we get to that, you know who else is probably really busy right now?
Mm-hmm.
Our good buddy Larry Brown with Brown Refrigeration. I saw one of his trucks the other day driving by, and those are good-looking trucks.
They are.
Did he upgrade the fleet or something? These are nice. It was a van.
Yeah,
so
he's
like the Memphis Police Department. They're upgrading their cars.
These are slick, man. So yeah, he's
a very busy man.
Yeah, but he's got to be busy right now. And anytime there's things like this, I wonder how many HVAC units have been crushed by trees or whatever. But
worse, hit by lightning. It's shocked at how many of those things get electrical damage.
I never thought of that. So
Yeah.
So he's a busy guy. We got to get him back on the show soon. But if you have any HVAC needs, you cannot beat Brown Refrigeration. You want a company that is rock solid, that deals with the latest technology, and is all about the conditioning and cleaning of the air in your home. And I mean, that's what they do. That is their wheelhouse. They are always up to date on the latest with Train. Train is their go-to supplier, and Train is another one of those dynamic companies that are always innovating. I'm amazed at how efficient these systems are, Alan. There's a huge difference between an HVAC system even from 15 years ago
Yes,
compared to
indeed.
today. So you need your HVAC system running at peak efficiency, and as we've said in the past, it is not just a matter of installing a nifty new HVAC system. Your systems require maintenance, and when we say maintenance, we're talking about really just either tune-ups. A lot of it really just comes down to cleaning and troubleshooting. You want to make sure that your system is set up the right way. Some people it might be a simple matter of if you call over for Brown Refrigeration for a tune-up, they might go over and say, you might want to pay attention to this. Your shrubs are growing right into the side of your system. A lot of it is just pointing out problems to avoid problems. You know what I mean, Alan? So it's like kind of that's what they're all about. Or, giving it enough space in your attic and things like that. So when we talk about maintenance, it's really just staying on top of it because you want it to run at peak efficiency. And, of course, you want to adapt the Remy Halo system with your HVAC system because that is using the UV power of the sun. It's just a cool device, and it cleans all of the air that comes out of your system, and all of the cleaning, it has cleaning particulates, so every surface that this air lands on is being cleaned. Great people over at Brown Refrigeration. We can't sing their praises high enough, and they answer their phones. So even in these situations, so give them a call. You can get in touch with them at 901-362-1881, or go to their very easy-to-remember website, brownref.com. All right, Max, we have a follow-up report to get to.
The truth is out there.
Fluoride is used by the communists to control our minds.
No, it's not.
Fact. Space does not exist.
Fact. Bears eat beets. Oh, bears. Beets. Battlestar Galactica.
Bears do not. What is going on? What are you doing?
Max will make a conspiracy out of anything. I don't know if this is a conspiracy, Max, but you may be onto something.
I don't care. I just wanted to push the button.
Okay. Well, hey, if you are new to Tool Talk Radio, or if you're a regular, if you heard, I want to say this is about a report we did about 2 months ago, Allan, and it's all about a doctor, a Georgetown professor named Newton Howard. He's age 53. The guy's a geek. He's one of us. And he lives in a $3.7 million townhome right there in the historic district of Georgetown. And that's sort of
that is the key magic words to this story.
And he ran afoul of the Homeowners Association. Well, I should say, when we talk about the Homeowners board, it's literally 3 people on this board. It's not true to say that,
he ran afoul of the historic district.
The historic district, but also just okay. Anyway, he has 2 giant statues.
No, he has 3.
Well, I know. Hold on. he has, out in the front of his house, he has a statue of Bumblebee and Optimus Prime that were made out of recycled car parts.
Yes.
However, these are beautiful. These are well-made, well-crafted statues. And up on the roof, he has another statue of Optimus Prime looking over the neighborhood. Well, he's been fighting an uphill battle to keep these statues out in front of his home because basically they're creating traffic issues. People are driving by to come look at them. The Homeowners Association, which as I say, are 3 people, are telling me you got to get rid of these things. A lot of neighbors really like them. A lot of the young people in the neighborhood like them. Yeah. Well, he's gone up to. So the update we have, Alan, is he's had to go to the city. He's basically lost all of his appeals. Even the city said you're going to have to take these things down, and he still plans to fight though. But there's a great quote that I wanted to read to you.
I was waiting for this.
Well, he decided to get some help in his battle. He's had you know the show The Mandalorian.
Yes.
You know the woman that plays the armorer. Gosh, I'm sorry, I can't remember her name, but the actress that plays the armorer has weighed in. She wants the statues kept for whatever good that did.
Okay.
The voice actor that plays Optimus Prime and Bumblebee, they want it. Well, he even enlisted the help of Shadow Senator Paul Strauss. He's his legal advocate on this. So his legal argument. He said, here's his quote that he told to the court. You talk about compatibility with the historic district. Technically, these guys are millennia old. I mean, they're prehistoric. So his appeal was that Optimus Prime and Bumblebee, technically, if you know anything about the Transformers, are over 1,000 years old, and by virtue of that they should be allowed to stay in the historic district.
I suppose the counter argument would be, well, how about the make and model that they're manifesting at this current time?
I would like to see the Hasbro trademark.
This is an elected senator that came up with that defense, Al. And we wonder what's wrong with our country. I got to give it to him on that. That's pretty creative. I don't know if it
nice try. I'm going to mark that down as nice try. Nice try. Dude, I totally am down with what you're trying to do. But again, know where you're moving into. You moved into the historic district.
It's true. Yeah.
I'm sorry. You tried. We like it. But I am positive. Now, because I got to agree with you, Joe. These are not something he ordered off of, nice. dirtcheap.com someplace.
Right.
These things are some money. These are really nice statues.
Yeah.
My question is, where are they going to go now?
There's got to be a park or a green area,
sure,
a public area where they would stop jacking up the street and everybody could enjoy them.
No,
because they are quite amazing.
He can't have them on the outside, but what if they had them on the inside, like with their arms crossed and like keeping guard so that if any thief tried to break in?
Now, if he wanted to put them inside the house, there would not have been a problem.
Yeah, I don't know. And the other question is, what about the one on the roof? What does that violate? Because the beef was they're dangerous because they could tip over. Or so, I don't know. The photo ops and everybody
they're
are stopping.
Dangerous because there's a lot of people wandering around this historic street.
And naturally, I'm on the side of this doctor. However, I'm starting to wonder if he's really got I mean, I think he's starting to really like all the attention he's getting out of this.
Yeah.
He's kind of an attention, grabber. But I don't know. I mean, the thing is, it did open up a bigger conversation about what constitutes art because for years, Allan, geek art was not taken serious, even though we know some really talented artists, comic book artists, truly and everything. Amazing. And so, if nothing else, maybe it gives credibility to the fact that geeks create beautiful art. So
I think there's a green space somewhere nearby.
I think so.
That they would be perfect for.
I think so. Somehow, at the end of this, it's going to happen. What I wonder is this guy. I wonder if he's setting up a scenario where he's going to force the city to forcibly remove them, and then are we going to have people like blocking the bulldozers or something? Are they going to tie themselves to Optimus Prime and not let him be? I don't know. The drama continues.
The drama continues,
and it's a shame Jay Hill scooted out of here because I would have really liked to have him weigh in.
He ran.
He conveniently ran away. So okay. Hey, Allan, we got a lot to get to. We're going to quickly get to our must-have item of the week when we come back, and then we're going to get to our great moments in building history, where we celebrate the Eiffel Tower. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Extraordinary events call for extraordinary actions. We form an allegiance to use sudden violence. Okay. Do you have the tools to turn a wooden mop handle into a stake? Which size?
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
When uncovering a conspiracy, Allan, you need, loyal loyal followers like that. They don't ask questions. They just get the job done. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning. Here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling hotline at 901-683-0989. We also invite you to go to the Royal Retreat studio cams on the News Talk 98.9, the Roar Facebook page, and watch the show. You can see 2/3 of the show. Max is not on camera, unfortunately, so you won't see what he looks like, but you can watch Allan and I do the show. Don't do it while you're driving, of course.
Yeah, please don't. Yes.
And then after that, go over to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and check out the posts that we've made over there. We have a lot to get to, Allan, but you said, Max, is Agent 732 caffeinated this morning? It sounds like. Now what do they have to say? Okay.
All right. Well, Agent 732 wanted to comment on the HOA business with the Transformers. They said, well, I would never advocate such a thing, but there was a guy who got revenge on his HOA. They didn't like his bushes, so he planted endangered bushes they couldn't make him dig up.
Okay. Hey, okay, boom. Okay, well, for one thing, Agent 732, I don't know where you get your information. I'm sure that's true, but you know, for one thing, Agent 732 has way too much time on their hand to
I'm just sitting here thinking, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking Optimus Prime is now going to be holding a handful of...
No, that's not what I was going to... Okay, for one thing, I salute that person's ingenuity. That is a smart move. If you put it in... Okay, by that reasoning, though, people that know about the Transformers know that they are basically... You talk about an endangered species. Is it right to call the to call
these
them
are statues of, not the real ones?
Yeah, but well, hey, Allan, we don't know that. We don't know if they could become self-aware. Maybe that's the approach they should have done in their defense. Is these are endangered, aliens that we need to protect. And
I mean, the Decepticons are constantly after them.
Yeah, I mean, they're basically, what do you call that? Refugees. From a distant planet.
Let me know how this argument works.
I mean, it can't be any worse than the fact that they're 1,000 years old and they need to fit in. I mean, they're going to try anything. They're going to throw anything they can up against the wall. All right, Agent 732, that was a good one. I begrudgingly will give you that one. Hey, Allan, in a minute, we really, man, we got stuff to get to here. But before we get to our great moments in building history, talk to us about the Royal Retreat.
Well, and every lifetime you reach a point where you probably need a little help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Family dynamics, a lot of stuff going on. The Royal Retreat is an adult assisted living. And Joe, you and I have said this probably 1,000 times on this show, and that's get a plan.
Absolutely.
Do not wait till
in
the
all
last
aspects
minute.
of life.
Yes. Do not wait to the last minute. If you have these type of family dynamics coming up, go down, take a tour, ask questions, get a plan together, know what you're going to be doing.
Absolutely.
So it is a truly lovely facility. It is very conveniently located off of 385, right there at Kirby Parkway between Germantown and Collierville, right off of Knight Arnold Road. As a matter of fact, they can reach them. Their office is 901-563-2210, and Lana Candela is the Community Relations Director. And they are more than happy to answer questions, give you a tour, show you around the place. Get a plan. Have options and answers.
It's always, I find it very liberating and empowering when you have a plan. I mean, there's some things where maybe you don't want to think about that, but once you start approaching it, I know it sounds crazy, but it becomes a fun process. So especially if you drop by, you see what great facilities they have, and you start to think, okay, this is a comfortable, great option for my family.
It is. So, it is indeed.
Absolutely. So, well, we love them at the Royal Retreat. I do question their judgment, though, of sponsoring the studio cams. Allan, is that the look they want for their business? Putting us on the.
I mean, it's younger than most of the people they house.
Are we the face that they want representing their company? Well, too late now. So, but no, we love them over at the Royal Retreat. and definitely check it out. Gorgeous facility. So, all right, Max, it's time. Let's do it.
And now, great moments in building history.
Well, Alan, I mean, we've been doing great moments in building history. I think we're almost a year now. We've been doing it quite a while. We knew we would get to this day. We knew this structure would be discussed, but it's time. So we're going to discuss the Eiffel Tower. Do we even have to tell people what the Eiffel Tower is? I dare say
it's a thing in Las Vegas, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, they do have one in Vegas. Don't they?
Have one in Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Alan, the bigger thing here is, okay, everybody knows the Eiffel Tower. Maybe they don't know the history. Maybe they don't know the hubbub that
What was
this
it
created, the
supposed
uproar.
to be?
Maybe they don't know the revolution in steel work that this ushered in. So these are the kind of things we want to lean into today. So
let's start with, what was it meant to be?
Talk to me.
Why was it built?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have talked about this World's Fair repeatedly.
Yeah.
Because we had the 1889.
Right.
The World's Fairs that happened between about 1870 and 1910 were honestly world-changing World's Fairs every single time.
Every time there were innovations that came, and you know,
massive innovations
that changed the culture, really.
Well, 1889, 2 years before then, they said, we want the grandest entrance ever.
Right. Okay.
So, of the Eiffel Corporation, who was experimental in the fact that they built things out of metal.
Well, think about it. Back then, I mean,
that was a big thing.
Right.
And and then the next big place where you can lose some money is Eiffel owned the company. Eiffel did not design the tower.
Oh, now we've been giving Eiffel all sorts of credit for it. So he wasn't the artist.
Eiffel approved the design.
But was he involved in the engineering or
well,
something?
Well, he was, but
this
Maurice,
is a structural thing.
Yes, but
too.
Maurice Coquelin was the senior engineer that actually did the bulk of the work.
Okay.
And then Emile Noguier was the architect involved on it, and Steven Silvestre was also a consultant with all of the sketching. And Mr. Eiffel was the gentleman who coordinated it all and brought the final vision completely together.
I didn't know that. But you know what? Okay, so he's like, is it safe to call? He's kind of like the conductor of a symphony.
Indeed. And he was also involved in a lot of other projects.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, the Statue of Liberty. His name pops up in association with a lot of construction.
I will say this, because in defense of this, because, it might be easy to say, well, gosh, he gets all the credit or whatever. Well, you know what? We saw what happened with poor Mr. Ferris, who designed the Ferris wheel. He was so laser focused on that Ferris wheel that all his other business went to pot, and he went bankrupt and lost everything. So
I thought his wife even divorced him too.
Yeah, so Mr. Eiffel, I guess, knew how to take care of business and get projects done.
A little better businessman.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So let's talk about some specs. This thing got built in, nobody thought it could be built in the time he had.
Yeah, how long? Because you don't have a lot of time with these.
He only
World
had
Fairs.
a couple of years.
Right.
He only had a couple of years. So what is it? 2 years, 2 months, and 5 days. Exactly.
Down to the day, yeah.
They moved 77,300 tons of iron, installed 2.5 million rivets, and used 40 tons of paint.
Oh, they got to
40
paint this
tons
thing, too.
of
That's right,
paint.
yeah. Well, I guess what I'm wondering back then, Alan, because I guess the one advantage with a structure like this is you can basically stack it, right? You start building and you just stack your way up. You still got to get beams up in the air, though.
It was
How
built
did
in
that
3
work?
phases.
I guess I'm wondering how you had cranes and things like that.
Well, he really got into the whole back balance cantilever and the modern style of building of basically the scaffolding.
Right.
All the way up and
As
around
you
it,
go.
much like we saw when we were renovating the Statue of Liberty.
So they used scaffolding to...
They used a lot of major construction ideas, including safety ideas, really came to play building this structure.
Well, as you got me thinking about this, Allan, man, I would not want to. This seems really dangerous. And, like you said, the people around, if you look at the skyline at that point, there was nothing even close to this height. I mean, and suddenly we're going to put this thing right up in the middle. I could see why there's objections.
And here's this guy going, okay, 300 meters in the air. That's about 985 feet.
Right.
So, I mean, this guy's like 300 meters. Now, here's the kicker. This is how good Eiffel and his team was.
Yeah.
They understood the steel was going to move.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's not as rigid and, yeah.
It was designed to actually shrink.
Interesting.
In the
they
cold
built
of
that
winter,
into the formula.
In the cold of winter, it can actually be 6 inches shorter.
That much?
Than it is. And yes.
Holy smokes.
And because of the way they designed it, it hasn't fallen apart.
No,
it was only designed to be there for 20 years.
Oh, I didn't know that. So this was something, and then who gets the job of tearing it down? So,
well, they were going to tear it down. However, the telegraph company was coming in, and the whole idea of communications and wireless communications came in. So Eiffel ran out there and stuck an antenna on top of it and went, check it out, guys.
Yeah. There's actually an anime that I watched where there's like where they're talking about like radio communications, and the tower they're building looks very much like the Eiffel Tower.
I guess you couldn't get a better antenna. Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, because of the design, it doesn't fall apart.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of little intricacies here with the Eiffel Tower, and we're going to dive into a few more of those when we come back here on Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
This is getting out of hand. Now there are 2 of them.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
No, it's been out of hand for a while, and that doesn't even include Max over there. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass.
So those guys left me out of the count.
Yeah, I mean, where do they get up? Well, he's like, it's kind of like the Sith Lord behind the scenes that you're not supposed to be acknowledged. So
I'm doing my job.
You're doing your job. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And we invite you to go to the Royal Retreat Studio Cams over on the News Talk 98.9, the Roar Facebook page, and watch the show. And then also go over to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. Check out the interesting posts we've made and like the page and join the Tool Talk Radio family. In a minute, we're going to get back to our great moments in building history. Allan, I have a shameless plug that I want to throw out there real quick. Actually, it ties into Tool Talk as well. But as people know, we run the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, which is coming up November 10th through 12th. And we have an interesting tie-in this year. We're partnering with all of the stations here at Cumulus to promote. We're cross-promoting and everything. But also, we have new opportunities to promote your business. We have a new business. I hope to bring them on next week, Allan. I told you they work in. They have a really unique nursery. Can't give the name out today, but it's very unique plants, and they're going to be set up at the convention
tiny,
with these
even
with these cool plants. And we'll give you all the information hopefully next week. But if you want to get involved and promote your business in unique and fun ways at the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, get in touch with me directly. You can call me at 901-921-7105 or go to my website, thorshomes.com, and shoot me a message through the contact page. So, and Allan, while we're shamelessly promoting, before we get out of here, why don't you tell us what's going on with Dark Oak Media this week?
Alrighty. Well, Dark Oak Media, of course, we just got to love Norway, Joe. Norway keeps...
Are they weighing in? And
well, they're actually growing as part of our listener base.
It's cool.
So, so New Zealand, you have some competition coming from Norway.
Okay.
So welcome to ToolTalkRadio.com over at GeekTankRadio.com. All the shows are doing well there. And for Dark Oak Media overall, the big hit is still the types of people you meet, and it came from the international market.
Right. And neither of which have you been sued over yet, which surprises me.
We're not going to be sued over those. We're having a good time.
Okay.
We celebrate unique snack foods from around the world, and you get to get an honest opinion from our panelists what they thought of it.
Okay. Well, there you go. So get in touch with, check out darkoakmedia.com, and also get in touch with Allan if you're, if you like weird content or you produce weird content, he'll probably put you on the show. So
we've helped a few people find their way.
Very good, sir. So, okay, Allan, before the break, we were talking about the Eiffel Tower, and really, I mean, we don't really need to get in. Everybody knows the Eiffel Tower, I dare say. I do have a quick question. Did it have an elevator right out of the gate? Because elevators were sort of a new thing. I want to say it had stairs originally, didn't it? Or
it still has stairs.
Well, I knew that, but I mean, did it have? That would definitely help in the construction.
Well, I know in the second floor, it housed businesses.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there were businesses there. There's a penthouse apartment at the top.
Really?
Yep. There's a champagne bar at the top.
Huh.
So there's some odd things. At one point in time, it was a post office. There was a theater in it.
And it's got an antenna because, I mean, you can't get a better broadcast.
And I'm going to say, no, it did not. And I could be very wrong on this, but because it was the gateway when it originally opened for the World's Fair, it was the gateway.
You walked
through
underneath it. Yeah.
So I don't think it had an elevator at that point.
Okay. Could you? Oh, okay. Never mind. People could research that. The bigger thing, Allan, is what a construction project this was. And I mean, the more I think about it, because man, you got to take yourself back. I don't know, the infrastructure of the city. I don't know how far it was from railway lines. They had to get the steel over there. How did they do this in 2 years? There was something in the air back then. I don't know how half of this stuff got built.
Well, how it got built is I'm going to put it down. I'm going to call it ant mentality.
Oh, okay.
Because if you've ever watched, ants doing their thing, they kind of, at first they look real scattered everywhere. Mm-hmm. And then as they figure out the shortest, most efficient ways of doing stuff, they streamline.
Yeah.
And a project like this, I'm sure when they finally got the railway lined up, they got the logistics lined up, they got the steel being shipped in at the proper time. We had so many rivets on hand every given day. X number of people showed up for work every day. The shifts changed over. So I'm sure this thing was absolute bedlam at the beginning. But I'm sure it very rapidly settled into kind of a efficient mechanism that got this thing built. And the other thing is, everybody wanted to build this. Everybody involved. There were detractors. There were people that didn't want it built.
Well, I'm sure the citizens had their opinions because they're like, man, I had this this great, nice little place here, and now you're building this giant monstrosity right next to my business. Or something.
There was a 300-person petition about getting rid of it. However, the average person thought this was great because it meant as this thing was going up, got to keep in mind, the bigger the Eiffel Tower got, the more excited people got because that meant you were that much closer to having the World's Fair.
Well, I guess that's true, and that's good for everybody.
So it was kind of like watching those "Have we met our goal yet?" kind of things, because you knew when this thing got done,
right?
It was fair time.
Yeah,
and the whole world was coming to Paris to celebrate how magnificent the world was.
I do have I have an aesthetic question for you, Allan, because if you look around the skyline, okay, now I don't know what you might deem, what type of art you might deem this, but what I can relate to this. When I was a kid in Chicago, they were putting up all of these, they put up a fair number of these more modern steel, you could call them art pieces. They put, especially the one that they put up for, what is the guy's name? Who's that modernist art? I don't know why I'm forgetting the, I'll come up with it. But anyway, they put up all these structures and initially they Picasso, that's who it was.
Right.
They had, because I guess Picasso had Chicago roots. They put up one in particular that was supposed to be a woman, and the feminists thought it looked like a dog. I hate to say it. It caused an uproar. However, it was hated when it went up, and now people really like it, and it was appreciated. And I guess what I'm wondering is, was there a similar vibe here where they're like saying this doesn't fit the aesthetic of the Paris skyline or something? Like, were there artistic objections to this, I suppose?
Again, several different
it's very
designs.
different.
It was very different, but because of what it was symbolizing, everybody was really looking forward to the World Fair.
Yeah.
Now, once it was done, again, it was only leased for 20 years. So at the end of this,
who gets in charge of
it was going
tearing
to come
it
down. It was going to come down.
Yeah.
However, it turned out technology-wise, again, technology came along within 10 years that said, hey, we need to put antennas as high up as we can get them, which bought him another 70-year lease.
Oh, wow.
And, of course, by the end of the 70-year lease, the Eiffel Tower's going nowhere.
No, now it's a historic landmark.
It is to the point where even the light configuration of the Eiffel Tower is actually copyrighted.
Oh, interesting.
So you cannot steal the nighttime image of the Eiffel Tower because it is a copywritten image.
Isn't that so? It looks cool when it's lit up at night.
Well, we've talked about the power of lighting in the past.
Yeah.
And when you think about what the Eiffel Corporation did, and as they really did not make a misstep.
It sounds like he was a smart business person, and that accounts for a lot of the reason. That's why he was able to get involved with the Statue of Liberty and all these other projects. I'll give him credit. He knew his business. So.
Well, they were also really good at bridges.
Mm-hmm.
So, his corporation was involved in any number of buildings, a lot of things, and they did a lot of smart little things like engraving the names of famous scientists all over it.
Oh.
So you could go around, if you were a Dumas fan, you could walk around until you find Dumas's engraving. The other thing they did very good job of was keeping it up.
Right.
Every 7 years, it gets a new coat of paint.
I was going to say, who's in charge of the maintenance on this thing?
Would be the Eiffel Tower Corporation or the Preservation Society now.
I don't know. I got to admit, I've never been to France, so I don't know but it's got to be cool to see in person.
It's 300 meters tall. This thing is huge.
Yeah. And it's kind of, sometimes we talk about art for the sake of art. I mean, really, it's an art piece, right?
It is.
I mean,
it is exactly a giant art piece.
It's cool. I mean, it is a great structure, and it spawned quite a bit of other, I don't want to say copycat, but it just spawned a new way of thinking about steel construction and what you can do. And I mean, 98. So what? You said 300 and something meters tall. What is
300 meters tall? It's 985 feet.
Am I wrong? Isn't that the equivalent of like a 80-story building or something?
It was one of the world's tallest structures for a very long time.
Okay, very interesting. So, well, Allan, I mean, there's more to be said, but we can't because we don't have any more time. So, what an interesting show today, though.
What a fast 2 hours.
This one is one for the books, but it's time to get out of here, Allan. So, on behalf of my buddy Allan Gilbert and our pal Max over there behind the glass, I'm Joe Thorderson. Thanks for listening to Tool Talk Radio, and we'll see you next week.